So until about a week ago, I felt exhausted no matter how much I slept, and my mood overall was just pretty down. I was in quite a bit of a rut. When I got in from work, all I wanted to do was lie on the sofa, eat chocolate, and watch rubbish on TV. But the 4 quick habits I'm going to share in this video, I'm very happy to say got me out of that rut. They are simple but crazily effective habits that I've discovered from successful people reading books and listening to podcasts. And I now rely on these consistently to get me out of a rut whenever I have a day, week, or month feeling down. So let's run through these 4 amazing habits in this video. Habit number 1 is to say no. So at the start of last week, I was at work. I was at the start of my 4th really busy week working on a project, which was coming to an end. And a partner came up to me and was like, right, I know this is kind of ending. Like, will you be able to take on a really busy new project with me? And I'm going to be honest, I felt really guilty thinking that I would even possibly say no to this, when if I was honest, I probably could, like if I absolutely stretch myself, take on something else. But then I remember Derek Sivers' book, Hell Yeah or No. And this idea that if you have like a feeling that is anything other than a hell yeah response, the answer should be no. Now, I fully appreciate that in a corporate context where you're working for people, this doesn't really work in practice. But I think the point I'm trying to make is I knew deep down, if I was honest with myself, I was going to be decently busy on that other project for the rest of the week. I could have put myself under even more pressure to perform for the next month, making myself exhausted, burnt out, and potentially getting ill in the process. But I had the courage to say no in that moment, to look after myself last week. And that now means that I'm in a position a week later to potentially take on a really pretty intense project. It was just that at that moment, the right answer for me deep down, if I was honest with myself, was no. I think it's really easy to prioritize other people's priorities when they say, this is super urgent, I really would love to have you on this project, it would be an amazing opportunity for you to learn and grow. But actually taking a step back, saying, what are my priorities right now? And for me, last week, it was getting out of a rut, making myself feel less tired, feel more positive, eat healthily, do a bit of exercise, have a bit of time for myself. At this early stage in our careers, I think it can feel like we should be saying yes to everything, but I got an absolutely amazing piece of advice from a colleague who just reminded me that our careers are very long periods of time. They are a marathon, not a sprint. And the way to be successful in whatever it is you're doing is to make sure you can stick at it and persist. And to do that, you have to say no sometimes. Habit number 2 is to get your helpers high. So the helpers high is that feeling of positivity and that rush of dopamine we get from helping someone else. When I'm in a rut, I find that I'm really focused on my own problems, no matter how small they are. And I find that tiny little things can really affect my mood. But doing small things to help others has a huge impact on how I'm feeling and lifts me out of the weeds of my own problems to have a sense of community by helping someone else. And it just gives me this perspective on my life that really helps me to just draw back from the nitty-gritty of day-to-day problems. And a 2018 study by Dr. Larry Dossey confirmed that the helpers high is actually accompanied by positive changes in our immune function and lower levels of stress hormone. So over the last week, I've actually used helping others as a practical technique to make myself feel better, and I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. If it makes someone else feel better and it makes me feel better, then amazing. I've made more of an effort to call my family, I've bought Beth flowers, I've taken a bag of pastries into work to share with my colleagues, and I've sent the occasional email to my grandparents updating them on my life, which I know they'll really appreciate. These are really small actions that took very little time or money, but had a disproportionate positive impact on my mood. So before we go through the last 2 habits, I want to quickly tell you about another habit that I've built that's really important to me. And that's a habit that moves me towards long-term financial security. And that is investing in art using today's sponsor, Masterworks. With UK workers facing considerable real-term pay drops, soaring food costs, and interest rates continuing to rise, it's not easy to feel like you're moving towards your financial goals. But as tough as it is, clearly right now, the habits that help you smartly save and invest your money are more important than they've ever been. So I'm always looking for unique opportunities that will enable me to build a diversified portfolio of assets that have the potential to grow in value over the long term without me needing to spend lots of time learning about complex investment decisions. So when I came across Masterworks, I was really keen to start using the platform, which I now love. They've been a sponsor for a while now, with many of you having signed up to Masterworks since I started featuring them. Now, contemporary art has offered an annual return of 14% over the last 25 years, as of December 2020, versus a 9.5% annual return from the S&P 500. Plus, historically, art has shown an even stronger performance at times of high inflation, and on top of that, contemporary art has a negative correlation with other asset classes. The only problem, it normally costs millions of dollars to add blue chip art to your portfolio. Well, that is until now. Masterworks analyzes millions of data points to identify which paintings seem most likely to rise in value, acquires the painting, and breaks it up into shares for you to invest in. Masterworks has so far offered over 200 paintings on their platform, with 650,000 users, and the performance of their investments to date speak for itself. As a result, offerings like Banksy can sell out in minutes, and there is a waitlist to access Masterworks, but my viewers can skip it by clicking the link in the description. Habit number 3 is to decide to treat yourself, and I think the idea of a treat can feel kind of frivolous or self-indulgent, like something you're just doing for no reason for yourself, but actually treats are scientifically proven to make us feel more energized, cared for, contented, all of which actually improves self-control. But in her book, Better Than Before, Gretchen Rubin says that for treats to work in improving our mood, we have to actually actively call them treats. We have to see them as treats. If we do something that's nice to ourselves, like buy something that we enjoy buying on a regular basis, but we don't think of it as a treat, it doesn't have the same positive psychological effects. If instead, at the weekend, for example, I make a delicious coffee, something I do every single day, but I take more time over it and I have it with a delicious pastry, that then becomes a treat, and I'm much more conscious in that present moment of the pleasure that I'm getting and able to really relish that experience. So for me, even this morning, I had a lie until 10 AM, which I never normally do. That's a treat, and I really relished that, lying in bed and just relaxing. I then made myself egg on toast with some spinach, which I never get time to do during the week. Another treat that I really enjoyed the process of doing. And then I sat down and watched TV that Beth doesn't want to watch while she's out. Again, another treat for myself. I really looked after myself this morning, and that has, it kind of feels cringy to say, but made me shift my mindset, I guess, towards self-love. So yeah, treat yourself and really focus on the fact that you're treating yourself. Habit number 4 is to practice memento mori, Liam's version. So it's become kind of trendy at the moment to practice memento mori, i.e. to think about your own death. It's this carpe diem mentality of you're going to die one day, you need to accept that, and that should hopefully bring to mind the importance of seizing time that we have a very limited amount of. To use the words of the French philosopher Albert Camus, come to terms with death, thereafter anything is possible. But I find that memento mori is actually most powerful when it's combined with gratitude. So we kind of all know, like, it's a good practice, a good habit to get into, to think about 3 things, for example, in the morning that we're grateful for. It could be Beth, it could be the absolutely delicious egg on toast that I made myself earlier, and it could be the fact that I have a roof over my head and I'm happy and lucky to live in the stable environment that I'm in. That itself is very powerful, but I like to combine that with this stoic idea of memento mori that I came across in the Tim Ferriss podcast episode. It's the idea that we think about losing those things, and particularly people in our lives. And I think it just brings, for me, when I'm in a down moment, considering the possibility that my loved ones could not be here forever and could actually die. It feels very uncomfortable to say, but I think just bringing that into your consciousness makes you so much more grateful for the fact that they're not, and the fact that they're here, and makes you cherish what you have. I absolutely don't dwell on it. I just instead make myself conscious of that reality, and I think it really just brings into focus the importance of enjoying them while I can, and brings a huge perspective to the day-to-day struggles that have probably got me into the rut. So just to really quickly recap, the 4 habits are to say no, don't put more pressure on yourself when you're already feeling overwhelmed, a bit exhausted, and in a rut. Habit number 2 is to get your helpers high, do small but kind acts that inevitably will just make you feel better. Habit number 3, decide to treat yourself and really focus on that thing as a treat, and you'll get the psychological benefits of feeling like you're giving yourself some self-love. And habit number 4, practice memento mori, but Liam's version. I think about the things you're grateful for. Imagine just for a brief moment that you could possibly lose those things, and feel the sense of perspective that this gives you on what are relatively smaller everyday problems. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, then give it a like, get that first helpers high by helping me get this video seen by more people. Go and watch one of my other videos if you feel like it, and I look forward to speaking again very, very soon.